Muhammad Ali looked at James Brown and said the words that cut deeper than any punch. "You're entertaining white people. I'm fighting for black people. We're not the same." Brown had been called many things in his life, but never a sellout. Never someone who'd abandoned his community for money. What he said in the next 10 minutes didn't just change Ali's mind. It changed how both men understood what it means to fight for your people. It was 1968, just months after Martin Luther King's assassination. The country was burning, riots in over 100 cities. Black Americans were angry, grieving, demanding change. And in the middle of all this chaos, two of the most famous black men in America were about to have a conversation that would define what activism could look like. They were at a fundraiser in Harlem for the families of people killed in the riots. Ali had just refused induction into the army, citing his religious beliefs and opposition to the Vietnam War. He'd been stripped of his boxing title, banned from the sport, facing 5 years in prison. He was the most controversial figure in America, hated by half the country, worshipped by the other half. James Brown was at the peak of his commercial success. His records were selling to black and white audiences. He performed for integrated crowds. He'd even performed for President Johnson at the White House. And to people like Ali, that made Brown suspect. Too friendly with the establishment, too eager to please white audiences, not black enough. They'd never met before. Brown had arrived at the fundraiser, performed a short set, and was backstage when Ali walked into the room. The energy shifted immediately. Ali was magnetic, 6'3", beautiful, impossibly confident. Everyone wanted to talk to him, to be near him, to bask in his presence. Ali saw Brown and walked straight over. James Brown, the hardest working man in show business. Muhammad Ali, the people's champion. People's champion, Ali repeated. That's right. I fight for the people, for black people. What do you do? Brown felt the challenge in the question. I make music. For who? Who's buying your records? Who's coming to your shows? Everybody. Black people, white people, music is universal. Universal, Ali said, his voice getting louder. Others were starting to listen now. You know what's universal? Oppression. That's universal for black people. And while you're up on stage dancing for white folks, making them comfortable, I'm out here sacrificing my career, facing prison, fighting for our people. We're not the same. The room went quiet. Everyone was watching now. Two giants, one from music, one from sports, facing off. Brown felt anger rising, but kept his voice calm. You think I don't fight for black people? I think you entertain them. There's a difference. I give up my title, my money, my freedom to stand for what's right. You put on a show and collect a check. Don't confuse the two. You're a boxer, Brown said. You hit people for money. I'm a musician. I reach people through music. Both of us are entertainers, Ali. The difference is, you're pretending you're not. I'm not an entertainer. I'm a warrior. I sacrifice for my beliefs. And I don't? You know what I did last week? I went on national television and told black people not to riot. Not because the government asked me to, but because I didn't want to see my people destroy their own neighborhoods. I used my platform to try to save black lives. That's not fighting for my people? You told black people not to fight back? You told them to be calm while they're being killed? That's not helping. That's controlling. I told them not to burn down their own communities, not to destroy the businesses they need, not to give police an excuse to kill more of us. That's called strategy, not sellout. Strategy is what white people call it when they want black people to be quiet. Real fighting looks like what I'm doing, refusing to serve in their army, refusing to play their game, making them uncomfortable. And you think I make white people comfortable? You think when I sing "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud," I'm making them comfortable? You think when I refuse to straighten my hair, when I speak about black economics, when I build black businesses, I'm entertaining white people? You perform for them. You take their money. I take everybody's money, and then I use it to build things for black people. I own my masters. I own my publishing. I employ hundreds of black musicians, black technicians, black business people. What do you do with your money? Ali bristled. I give it to the Nation of Islam, to black causes, to an organization that tells you what to think, what to say, who to marry. I give my money to people who work for me, who feed their families, who build their own futures. Who's really helping black people, Ali? The guy who refuses to work, or the guy who creates work for hundreds of black families? You're creating jobs for people to entertain white folks. I'm creating jobs, period. Brown's voice rose. Do you know how hard it is for a black man to own anything in this country? To control his own music? To build his own business? I'm not just performing, Ali. I'm building an empire that white people don't control. That's revolutionary. Revolution isn't building businesses. Revolution is tearing down the system. And what do you replace it with? Chaos? More poverty? I'm building something that lasts. Something that creates wealth in the black community. Something that proves we can succeed on our own terms. That's revolution too. Ali was quiet for a moment. You still perform for white audiences. And you still box in front of white audiences. When you fought, who was in the expensive seats? Who was paying the big money to watch? Black people or white people? That's different. It's not different. You entertained white people too. You just told yourself you were doing something more important because you talked about politics between rounds. But you were still selling tickets to white people, still making white promoters rich. The only difference between us is I'm honest about it. I used boxing as a platform for the message. You use music to avoid the message. Brown stepped closer. Listen to my music. Really listen. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Get up, get into it, get involved. Every song I write is about black empowerment, about pride, about self-sufficiency, about not waiting for white people to save us. That's not avoiding the message. That is the message. Words in Psalms aren't the same as actions. So let's talk actions. You refused the draft. Brave. I respect it. But you know what I did? I bought a radio station. A black-owned radio station that plays black music, employs black DJs, serves the black community. You know what that does? It gives black people control over their own narrative, their own culture, their own voices. Is that not action? Ali was listening now, really listening. You know what else I did? Brown continued. I went to Vietnam, not to fight. I went to perform for the troops. And you know who I talked to while I was there? The black soldiers, the ones who didn't have a choice about being there, who couldn't afford to refuse the draft, who were dying in a war they didn't believe in, and I told them they mattered, that they were valued, that their lives meant something. Was I wrong to do that? They shouldn't be there in the first place. I agree, but they are there, and they're scared and alone, and being treated like garbage by their own country. So I went and reminded them they were human, that they were loved, that they weren't forgotten. You call that entertaining white people? Ali didn't answer. Here's the thing you don't understand about me, Ali. You think I'm performing for white audiences, but I'm not performing for anyone. I'm performing as myself. I don't change who I am based on who's watching. I don't tone down my blackness for white audiences. I don't perform different music for different crowds. I am exactly who I am, all the time. And if white people want to pay money to watch a black man be proud and powerful and unapologetic, I'll take their money. And then I'll use it to build things they can't control. But you're not making them uncomfortable. Yes, I am. You think white people are comfortable watching a black man own his business, control his art, refuse to bow down? You think they're comfortable hearing "Say It Loud, I'm black and I'm proud" on their radios, but they can't stop listening. And every time they listen, every time they watch, I'm changing what they think is possible for a black man. That's power, Ali. Power is refusing their money. Power is taking their money and using it to build something they can't destroy. Look at you. You refused boxing. They stripped your title. They banned you. They took your power away. Now look at me. I take their money, and they can't touch me. I own my masters. I control my career. I employ my people. They can't strip me of anything because I never gave them control in the first place." Ali was quiet for a long time. Finally he said, "You really own your masters?" "Every single one. Took me years to fight for it. Cost me millions in lawsuits. But they're mine. My music belongs to me." Most artists don't own their music. Most artists don't fight for it. Most artists just take the deal and complain later. I fought, and I won. That's revolution too. Ali sat down. Brown sat next to him. "I thought you were a sellout," Ali admitted quietly. "I know. A lot of people think that. They see me smiling on stage and think I'm trying to make white people happy. But I'm not smiling for them. I'm smiling because I'm free, because I own my art, because I employ my people, because I'm proving that a black man can succeed on his own terms. That smile isn't submission, it's victory." "I never thought about it that way." "Because you're so focused on the fight that you can't see the building. You're tearing down the system, which is important. But somebody has to build the new system. Somebody has to create the businesses, the wealth, the infrastructure that our community needs to survive after the revolution. That's what I'm doing. You think we need both, the fighters and the builders? I think we need everyone doing what they do best. You fight in the ring and in the courts. I fight through music and business. Malcolm fights with speeches. Martin fought with marches. Nina Simone fights with psalms. We're all fighting. We just use different weapons. But you take money from white people. So do you. Every boxing match you ever fought, white people paid for. The difference is, I'm honest about it. And I use that money to build power in the black community. Economic power, cultural power, the kind of power they can't take away with a court ruling or a law." Ali nodded slowly. "I owe you an apology. You don't owe me anything. You are doing what you thought was right, standing up for what you believe. I respect that. But I was wrong about you. You were wrong about what I'm doing. But you were right about the importance of the fight. We just fight differently, and maybe that's okay." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Ali said, "Tell me about the radio station." Brown smiled. "It's in Augusta, Georgia, where I grew up, poorest part of town. And now they have a radio station that plays their music, talks about their issues, employs their neighbors. That's power. Can I visit it sometime?" "Anytime. I'll show you what economic revolution looks like." Over the next years, Ali and Brown became friends. Not close friends. They were too different, too proud, too much their own men. But they respected each other. Ali started talking about economic empowerment in his speeches. Brown started being more vocal about political issues in his interviews. Years later, someone asked Ali about James Brown. "I thought he was a sellout," Ali said, "but he taught me something. That revolution isn't just about refusing to participate in the system. Sometimes it's about participating so well that you take control of the system. Brown did that. He used their money to build our power. That's genius." And when someone asked Brown about Ali, he smiled. Ali thought fighting meant sacrifice, giving things up, taking stands that cost you everything. And he was right. Sometimes it does. But I taught him that fighting can also mean building, creating, taking what they give you and turning it into something they can't control. Both are necessary. Both are revolution. If this story about different paths to the same goal, about respecting people who fight differently than you do, and about understanding that revolution has many faces, moved you, share it with someone who needs to understand that there's more than one way to fight for justice. Subscribe for more stories about moments when people discovered that their enemy was actually their ally, fighting the same battle with different weapons. And remember, don't judge someone's commitment by whether they fight the way you fight. Judge them by whether they're actually making a difference.